All right, so again, this is day 4, going through deep breaths and rest, really highlighting how we can stress less and sleep more. So on day 1 of this New Year's series, we talked about graceful planning. Day 2, diet-free eating. Day 3, we talked about joyful movement. And today, keep having something stuck in my throat every time I do this. Day 4, we're talking about deep breaths and rest. Okay, let me clear my throat. Before. All right, so today we're highlighting stress and sleep. Stress and sleep, stress and sleep. These are 2 of the most important factors in your health. Yes, planning is important. Yes, what you eat and how you move is important. But I will say without a shadow of a doubt that if you are overstressed and your cortisol and adrenaline levels are high, your insulin levels whack, and you're sleeping less and your melatonin is low, serotonin is low, and cortisol way too high, your hormones are whack. And when your hormones are whack, your whole body is whack. And I really love talking about hormones, in particular around stress and sleep. So most of us, when we think about hormones, we think about the female health or female reproductive hormones. We think about estrogen, we think about progesterone. We might think about luteinizing hormone. We might think about all the hormones that are associated with a woman and her cycle. And all of those are really important to your overall health, actually. Is it DHA? And so much more. Prolactin, and then I could go on and on. But what hormones that we don't pay attention to are insulin, cortisol, and different hormones / neurotransmitters. You have GABA, you have melatonin, you have serotonin, you have dopamine, all these ones that really help keep our body balanced in a state of homeostasis. And so hormones, at the end of the day, they're chemical messengers in your body telling your body what to do. Go here, do this, do this, do this. And so basically it's like calling on the telephone saying, hey, I need you to go give Brianna some insulin, some energy. So help her release her glycogen and release to that storage. Okay, cool. She's exercising, she needs it, good. But when your hormones are whack, it's not that communication, the lines are down, the internet is down, okay? And so what we want to do when we stress less and sleep more is reset or balance our hormones. And so they're doing what they need to do, because when they're off, your body's off, okay? And so there are so many things and so many health problems, more than just hormones, that are associated with lack of sleep and stress. But as we talk about health, and particularly a lot of the women that I work with want help around losing weight that lasts in a healthy way, often we find that their hormones around stress and sleep are whack. They're too stressed and they're barely sleeping. And I promise you, I've done this with me and many of clients, that when I started sleeping more is when my weight got better, or my health got better, my skin got better, besides these 2 little things that just keep breaking out. They'll go away. And just so many things just got better when I slept. And even when I manage my stress, I love my watch now. It tells me when I'm stressed, like, hey, I think it actually says breathe. And I'm like, breathe, 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 breathe. Because it could tell my heart rate's up, my stress level's up, right? And so what we want to do is identify ways, simple, honestly, free ways. These are all free ways that we can deal with stress and sleep, so that your thyroid hormones, your metabolism is working well. You're hungry when you're actually hungry and not reaching for all these foods that are quick fixes. Your cortisol levels need to be up at the beginning of the day, because you need to be alert and ready to go. But how do we slow down our cortisol levels at night and really rest and sleep? I have a whole master class I've done on this in the academy that I have for my clients. So if you're curious about the why, the how, all that stuff. But I'm just going to give you some simple tips. And I will remind you that my Sustainable Weight Loss Habit Tracker and Food Journal is still 40% off until tomorrow night. And this is where we actually track sleep in particular. And of course, you can add some stuff around breathing and stress in there. I've laid that stuff out in detail for my one-on-one clients, but this tracker is a preview of that tracker I use with one-on-one clients. All right, ready? So let's talk about the first tip, identifying your stressors. This is very important, because sometimes I ask my husband, like, all right, he'll ask me, like, I'm like, are you okay? You seem overwhelmed, you seem stressed. And like, sometimes we're like, but I actually don't know what exactly is bothering me. And so we will take time to like, we ask each other different questions and we go through like, really help each other identify the stressors. And then when you identify the stressors, that's when you're able to take action. If you don't know what's really stressing you out, and you might think something's stressing you out, but dig deeper, then you're able to like create alternatives, which is step number 2. So a simple way to identify the stressors is to take a piece of paper, pen, and write out what is stressing you at the current moment. Now, this might be a stressor that happened today. It might be a stressor that it's a season of stress, and writing all of it out, okay? And then you're just able to like put it on paper. And then we want to create alternatives. So an alternative to you just sitting there, staying up at night because you're thinking about your stress, or sitting there and running to food because you want something to comfort you, or sitting there running to a drink, or sitting there and not eating, like whatever. First, I should say identify your stressor and identify how you typically respond to that stressor. And if it's a healthy response, meaning it's helping to reduce that stress or deal with that stress or cope or even eliminate that stress, great, keep it. But how you respond most likely is not supporting you. And so identify your stressors and how you respond. So I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah, I guess I could, maybe you're working and it's a particularly busy season and you feel like there's more than you can handle. So you're overwhelmed, Well, friend, what at work is stressing you? Is it, having so much to do and feeling like you have no time? How do you respond to that? Do you feel like you're just staying up late and trying to get stuff done, never seeing family, never sleeping? How do you respond? An alternative to that would be, okay, how do I prioritize? I love helping clients with time management, and I've done this time management class where, identifying, okay, what are the priorities right now? What must I do? What should I do? Or what would I like to do? And the must-dos are what you focus on. If you only got 2 hours to focus on something, what must you do in that one given project? And I've really started implementing this more myself as I work a little bit with a nonprofit in our church here, as well as I run my businesses, I guess. I have my daughter that I take care of, household, family. And on a given day, when I use my handy dandy planner here, I'm like, what must I do? Well, actually, in a given week, I write must-dos, should-dos, would like to do's. Now I've gotten to the point, though, I really have identified what must I do, that's really what I put down for that week and that day. And then I have like a brain dump of places of other things that I would like to eventually get to, and maybe some timelines around that. So I use both a paper calendar and kind of like a virtual organizing system. And it's really helped me because at the end of the day, I want to feel good about the work that I did. I had an interview earlier this morning for a summit that I'm doing. I spent some time with God, spent some time with family, worked on the summit a little bit, have this. I have probably 2 other calls later, and then I'm going to work out, then spend time with my daughter and family and husband. And if I did not write out what I must do and actually include this as a must do, like the actual showing up versus just a task that I'm like on the computer doing, then I'm going to go to bed at night, and this has happened to me countless times, and I feel like, man, I wasted a day, or I'm not productive as I used to be, when actually I'm really much more productive. It's just that I'm prioritizing, right? And so all that to say, if you feel like you're overwhelmed and there's so much to do, I really want you to take some time to be vigilant, and I would say savage, and just really, I don't really like the word savage or whatever, but really like go in and really prioritize your to-dos. And if this is something that, particularly in your health goals or in your life goals, that you really want to work on, I love working on this with clients, okay? Yeah, so that is number 1 and 2, identify your stressors and how you respond. 2, create alternatives. And then 3, take some time to do some deep breaths and just breathe. So what breathing does You may have heard this, but what breathing does is your sympathetic nervous system is what's really enacted when you're stressed. That's fight or flight response, survival mode. And so when you're constantly stressed, your body goes haywire and you're just like anxious. Even if you're not mentally anxious, your body's anxious. And so what breathing does, it resets and goes to the other part of your autonomic nervous system, your parasympathetic nervous system. And what that does is it helps you rest and digest. This is actually what's enacted when you sleep. But what it does is it really slows down that chaotic parts in your mind and your body. And so when you breathe, you want to breathe from your diaphragm versus your upper part of your chest, because the deep breath, it goes deep into your diaphragm and really stabilizes you. And one way to do that, a simple exercise, is the box 4 breathing method. I really like the 4-7-8, but we're just going to do box 4 because it's simpler to remember. Where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 4, and you hold for 4. You want to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And so the you know, maybe you're like 1, 2, 3, 4. You do it quick, but eventually you can you could expand your count. So let's just do it together, okay? I'm going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. And I'm just going to use my fingers to guide us so that I can actually breathe and not have to speak at the same time. Ready? Okay. So I just did it twice here, and I kind of did it quicker than I would normally do it. But let me tell you, how did I just feel? I was just like, I need to do this more often, but I literally was just like, I'm present, I'm here, and I am in control. The stress does not have to control me. I am in control. All right? And so that is such a powerful exercise that you could do. Again, do it 4 times. And maybe you might do it quick at first, but then expand how long the counts are. And I'm telling you, it's just your go-to, a quick, great alternative to just help you manage that stress. There's a lot of other things, but let's just start with that basic, okay? So we talked about identifying your stressors, creating alternatives, and then doing deep breaths. That kind of deals with stress. Let's talk about sleep. This is where I start. You just need to give yourself permission to sleep. I know there's laundry to be done. I know that there's a counter to be wiped. I know that there are projects to be done. But you really got to ask yourself, do I really need to do this now? So for me, my daughter's finally, you know, she's finally in a better place with sleeping. But sometimes at night, I'm like, okay, finally put her down. I just want some time to watch a show or read or do some errands or stuff in the house. And I realize it's like, but she's going to wake up at a consistent time. She might not go to sleep always consistently in the time, but she's going to wake up at a consistent time. So you got to ask yourself, what do you want more? Do you want more to read that book, which I advocate for reading. Don't get me wrong. It's a matter of like, if it's really late, should I read or should I go to sleep? Or do you really want that laundry to be folded? Laundry will always be there. You wash a batch, to fold a batch, to put away a batch, to have to wash another batch. Story of my life. And lately I've just been like, okay, what's going to help me wind down my mind for sure? But now I'm like, all right, I really want to slowly start to go to bed earlier. And that's just me giving myself permission to sleep. Because I'll get what I need to get done during the day. I always do. That's maybe an affirmation you need to tell yourself. I always get things done. I was working with a client a couple weeks ago, similar, had so much to do and stressed out and all this. And I'm like, you really just got to start saying to yourself, I always get things done. Because I'm like, do you always get things done in time? She's like, yeah. And you've proved to yourself that you always get things done in time. And so I started saying this to myself. I always get things done in time. I'm going to go to sleep. So give yourself permission to sleep. All right. And then number 5 is put a sleep timer on your phone. So I don't know if it's because I have updated iPhone, but literally I have my bedtime, and what it will do, it will give me a wind down hour where an hour before bedtime, it will like silence my notifications. So I'll kind of do not disturb. And up until my wake time, it's on do not disturb. Now, if someone's calling me and again, it's emergency, it will go through. But text messages, I don't hear notification, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And I actually used to have notifications to my watch, stopped it. Because I just want to be present. That's my word of the year. I want to be present and I want to sleep well. And so now what's really helped me do that is to put a sleep timer on my phone and then limit my phone activity at night. And actually recently this week, what I've been doing is I'm not checking email or any social media, anything like that on my phone. Literally it's just call or text and a couple other apps, of communication apps with like one-on-one people, not like big mass social media and calls. And it's been great. I mean, of course I like will search, maybe I'll read on my phone, like read a book from the library, or maybe I'll like search questions on Google. But limiting that social media on my phone has been so great. And even I've actually tried to limit it between certain times, between like 8 to 8 or 9 to 9, just at night to the morning. I'm like trying not to go on it and just trying to use my laptop for it. And it's been amazing. I feel so much more present. I feel like I could sleep so much more better. All right. So let me know which of these 5 tips are you going to start practicing to really reduce your stress and sleep more? And so the first was identifying your stressors and how you typically respond. Second was creating alternatives to dealing with those stressors. The third was breathing and the box 4 example that I gave you. 4 was giving yourself permission to sleep. Things will get done because you always get things done. And then 5 was creating a sleep timer on your phone or boundaries around technology around a certain time. So I would love to know which of these tips are you going to try to practice in the new year as you try to stress less and sleep more, because it will help your weight, your health, your overall well-being, mental health too. And also 2 things. If you have not signed up for my tracker yet, well, if you have not bought my Sustainable Weight Loss Habits Tracker and Food Journal yet, it is 40% off. And that's where you could track all of these habits we were talking about all week and more. And it's just such a great tool. Clients have seen so much breakthrough in using this tool, okay? If you just go to madewell345.com/habits tracker, you can get it for $17. It will go up to $27 on Saturday. The next thing is, I have to make sure to put the link here. I'm offering a few free mini coaching sessions the next couple weeks where we can work on one of these habits together and help you figure out what's that one thing that you need to do to catapult and find breakthrough in your health and your weight. And so if you're interested in that, if you go to madewell345.com/strategy and just find the time in my calendar, we can really work together for that 20 minutes to kind of go forward. And if you're curious about long-term support, we could talk about that too. All right, so I'll update this video and I think a couple of updated videos with the strategy link. Yeah, just get the tracker, these 2 tools alone. So you could spend, this tracker is worth way more than $27, and this call is worth way more when it's free. And you could get all of like this value, probably like $140 in value, $50 in value for only $17 if you get both the tracker and book the call, and really get clear in this new year what's your next best step and which habits you need to work on. All right, that's it. I will see you tomorrow. I believe it's for 12 o'clock tomorrow too. Day 5, talking about positive thinking, and this has to do with mindset. This one is going to be one that I've been talking to many of you, whether it's on the phone or in the group, and even my clients. This is the area. I almost changed my title to mindset and health coach, but I lead women not just through the actions they need to take, but through the thoughts they need to transform. Okay? And so book those calls, get that tracker, and make sure you tune in tomorrow because we're going to talk about positive thinking. All right? I'll see you there. And let me know if you have any questions. Just drop a comment. All right? Bye.